I woke up to a for sale sign staked right on my front lawn with my name on it. But I wasn't selling anything. My land wasn't for sale. That sign had been hammered in overnight, right next to a laminated flyer with my full name and phone number in bold, and the cherry on top? A note taped to my door that said, "Contact HOA for pricing motivated seller." That's when I knew it wasn't just a prunk, it was a hit job. And there was only one person on this street shameless enough to pull it: Karen Douglas. I moved into this neighborhood in Arizona 3 years ago, small desert town, gated community, quiet folks who mostly kept to themselves. I'd just finished renovating an old adobe-style ranch house on the edge of the HOA boundary, technically outside their reach, but just close enough for them to feel like they had a say. I'm a retired land surveyor. I know property lines like I know my own heartbeat. I'd bought that half-acre fair and square. Thing is, it backed up to a strip of land that Karen had always used as a private shortcut, her driveway wrapped around it. Unofficially, but legally, it was mine, and she hated that. The first sign of trouble came when I got a notice of violation in my mailbox. Something about excessive cactus growth on the back lot, totally fabricated, since I hadn't planted a single new cactus since I moved in. Then a week later, another letter: unapproved fencing materials. Thing is, I hadn't even installed a fence yet. I figured it was some admin mix-up, until I saw Karen standing across the street, arms crossed, smiling like she just bit into a lemon and decided to enjoy it. She started getting bold. I caught her trimming the creosote bushes near the back gatey in my side. When I told her to stop, she waved a clipboard and said, "HOA inspection." I asked her which clause gave her the right to enter private property without consent. She said, "The one where I make sure property values don't plummet." I knew then I wasn't dealing with someone reasonable, it was dealing with someone entitled enough to make up her own laws. Then came the escalation. One afternoon, I get back from the store, and there's a construction crew on my land: bulldozers, concrete mixers, the works. I slammed on the brakes and jumped out. One guy said they were clearing the lot for open house staging. I laughed, thinking it was a mistake. Then he handed me a printed email from Karen. She had told them the parcel was HOA owned and up for subdivision. That was the day I realized she wasn't just bluffing anymore, she was trying to erase my ownership completely. I was standing in the middle of the mess when a voice called out from behind me, "You're going to want to document everything, pal." I turned around and saw a man in dusty jeans, with a Nikon around his neck and a drone controller in his hand. Said his name was Tony, local real estate photographer. Karen had hired him for the sale, but once he figured out something was fishy, he decided to hang back and watch it unfold. He gave me all the raw footage he'd taken so far, her directing the crew, pointing to my land, even referring to it as hers on camera. Jackpot. I thought that was my break. But Karen wasn't done. That weekend, she distributed fake flyers around the neighborhood: "Foreclosure sale this Sunday," with my address and a photoshopped image of my house with boarded-up windows. People were showing up to browse. A guy even knocked on my door and offered cash on the spot. I was humiliated and furious. I called the cops, but they said it was a civil dispute. The HOA board? Silent. Karen was the board president for 7 years running. Her little fiefdom. That's when I stopped playing defense. I dug out every document I had: deed, plat maps, topography surveys. I cross-checked county zoning records, even went to City Hall and pulled the original easement filings. Guess what I found? Karen's driveway, the one she and her husband had poured 15 years ago, ran across a 2-foot sliver of my land. It wasn't a legal easement. It wasn't even noted, which meant her entire driveway was technically trespassing. For years, I took it to my lawyer. She almost choked laughing. "You want to buy it?" she asked. "No," I said. "I want to sell it back to her for a premium, or evict her driveway altogether." We filed the paperwork. I subdivided my parcel just enough to make her life miserable, zoned it commercial, listed it publicly as high-traffic access strip, ideal for storage or drop-off point. Within a week, I had 3 offers from landscaping companies needing truck space. Karen saw the listing and freaked. She stormed up to my porch, red-faced, waving a cease and desist. I didn't even open the screen door, just pointed at the camera above the mailbox and said, "Smile. You're on legal ground now." The final showdown came during the emergency HOA meeting she called to protect neighborhood integrity. She tried to rally the neighbors, claimed I was a rogue developer threatening their peace. That's when Tony, the photographer, stood up from the back row, played the drone footage on the projector, her voice, her lies, her actions, all in HD. You could hear a pin drop. One by one, neighbors walked out. She sat down, stone still, cornered. A month later, her husband's truck was gone. A for sale sign went up her house this time. But you know what stayed behind? The little patch of land she'd paved over, now legally mine. I poured a line of decorative boulders right across her former driveway, just enough to block vehicle access. Left a sign too. Private property, no trespassing, smile, Karen. And sometimes, I still sit on my porch with my coffee and watch delivery drivers try to figure out how to get to her old garage. I don't say a word. Just sip and listen to the gravel crunch. Funny how the people who scream rules the loudest are the first ones to break them when they think nobody's watching. What would you have done? Let her get away with either digging your heels and buy her driveway out from under her? Tell me in the comments. And if you ever had to deal with an HOA tyrant, hit subscribe. You're not alone.